What you're about to hear is the story of someone who chose to do things differently and a live coaching session about the decisions or struggles behind their success. Welcome to the Lise Bruynooghe podcast. Welcome to the Lise Bruynooghe podcast. And today I'm joined by Zoë Harrison, who's the owner of ZLH Studios, a dance studio that you created not so long ago. And you've got beautiful awards as well. We'll talk about this later. Zoë, first of all, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited.
You're most welcome. I love to feature people who leave the conventional path and do something that is aligned with who they are and who they want to be in this world. And I know you are such a person too. It would be wonderful if you could share your story with our listeners.
Yeah, for sure. So I grew up dancing and singing like an average child, really. I loved it so much. I did it on the weekends. And then around the age of 10, 11, I decided I wanted to take it a little bit more seriously. So I auditioned for a top school in London. I live about 30 miles outside of London, so this was a really big opportunity for me. And then I got in. So I trained from 11 to 21 in London at top high-level institutions in musical theatre and dance. And so it was 10 years training. I commuted every day. I loved it. It was very high pressure. It was very intense. I got very good training. And then when I got to degree level, I graduated and I got an agent in Leicester Square and started to audition. My last few years of training were not so enjoyable. They were a little bit toxic. The environment was quite unpleasant. But I finished my degree and I started auditioning, as I said, and then I decided I didn't want to do it anymore. Going out into the real world, as they say, the level of toxicity was there still, and I decided I didn't want to do it. So I then moved over into a corporate job. I got a job in sales and I was doing that for 3-4 years. I had a really clear progression path there. I had a good manager at the time and there were stepping stones for me to really progress on and on. Really, it was inevitable for me to kind of continue down that path. The only problem with that was that I was very bored. I'm a very creative person and there was absolutely no creative outlet for me in that job at all. So it was quite difficult for me, even though I enjoyed the job. It was difficult. It was going against what I really, really wanted to do. So I started teaching some dance classes independently on the side, under my manager's instruction, actually. She said, "Oh, why don't you do it? You know, you love it so much." And I started doing it on the weekend. The weekend then turned into weeknights, and I was working all hours. So I was balancing really a side hustle alongside my corporate job. And it started to get really busy, which was really great. Before Christmas in 2024, I got called into a meeting by one of the heads of my company and said that I'm now in breach of my contract, and she gave me an option to either resign on the spot, or they said, "We're going to launch an investigation on you." And she warned me that the investigation would be very unpleasant. She said, "It's not going to be very nice for you." So I kind of felt backed into a corner. So I resigned on the spot just before Christmas. And yeah, I went home with Christmas ahead with no job. And the money that I was making from my side hustle from my classes was nowhere near enough, to cover my bills. I just moved out away from home. I was 25. So yeah, it was quite a worrying time. I spoke to my dad and he said, you should go for it. Just do it. It's your name on the door. Go make it happen. And I spent the Christmas season kind of preparing and prepping. Over New Year's, I didn't go out and drink any champagne. I was studying, I was writing. Yeah. And I was planning. So yeah, I guess that was my pivotal point where I either, decided to get another job in sales. Don't get me wrong. I did put a few in applications out of panic and stress. But yeah, a year and a half later, I'm sat here now with just over 700 students. We're spread across the UK now. So yeah, that's where I'm at. So it was the right choice.
Yeah. And it strikes me how you mentioned that, you lost that corporate job, or you decided to go to not have that investigation. Mm-hmm. And still you had that moment of, okay, I'm going to apply. I'm going to continue to apply to stay in that kind of linear path, right? You are in corporate, you're going to climb the ladder, you're going to get more and more senior. So the initial instinct was like, let's stay there.
Of course.
And it strikes me that your dad had a pivotal role by saying, hey, come on, go and do it. Can you tell us a little bit more about what gave you the courage to actually go ahead and create your own dance school?
Yeah, I think mainly it was just my passion overtook the logic in the end. I think your logical brain wants to keep you safe, and the safe option would have been to apply and get another job. I actually wasn't really getting many interviews, so I kind of took it as a sign that I should go ahead by myself. But I think the combination of getting that advice from my dad's an entrepreneur. He owns his own business. I really trust his advice, and I really look up to him. So him saying that was, green flags in my head. But also I think the transition over new year, new me, I think you have to just feel the fear and do it anyway. And I was watching a lot of podcasts and interviews of very successful people that I looked up to, and they had that same moment of do it or don't. And I said, if I get another job, I'll never do it again. I'll never have this opportunity again. So I think I took the quote, feel the fear and do it anyway, and put that into action.
It's a lovely one.
Thank
And it is
you.
one that I hear so many successful people say,
Yeah.
even, athletes, entrepreneurs, the fear never goes away. It's there.
Never.
And
Never.
it's just knowing that it's there. Hello, companion. Hello, dear fear.
Yeah.
And then still going for it.
Yeah, for sure. The fear never leaves, even when, you've got a bit of success or you're comfortable. You always feel that in the back of your head that never goes away. So the more comfortable you get with that, the better you do, I think.
Yeah. And you mentioned the toxicity in the training that you've had. You've trained for more than 10 years in some of the best schools in London. And I know that the school you've created strives to be slightly different. Do you want to share more about that too?
Yeah. So that was my initial inspiration for opening, really. Obviously, as I mentioned before, the schools were quite toxic. The pressure was high. There was a lot of talk about, how much people weigh and other girls being called too fat. And I started teaching locally to get away from that. But I also noticed that it happens locally as well. It's not just these top level institutions that demonstrate those behaviours. It's all across the board. So I kind of was pushed into opening my own classes because I thought I can't do it any other way. So yeah, we're all about positive mental health. We're all about confidence building. We use the performing arts really as a vehicle to get there. The training is still high level. It's still very good, but it comes second. The first, I guess motive in our classes is to help children feel confident when they leave the classroom, not just confident in the dance steps they're doing or what they're singing, but actually confidence that transcends beyond that classroom and what they can take into them when they start school or when they start senior school, when they start prepping for exams. Having that confidence overspilling into their life, that's our goal and our mission.
That's a beautiful mission. And I can see how your own confidence as a founder is obviously important too, because you're role modeling it for everyone in your business.
For sure. And also, in the people that I employ now, when I started to hire, it's really, really important that these people model confidence for children, because children are such energy adapters. They feel energy, they take on people's energy. And if you haven't got a confident instructor, that's, the first thing that will go wrong. So that's something that was quite difficult in hiring for me as well, was finding, positive role models for children, but also people that demonstrated that natural confidence and buzz, and as well as being trained. Yeah.
Is there anything else around your journey you want to share? And if not, we can go straight into the question that you're bringing for today.
So the question that I'm sitting with at the moment would be, how do I scale? Because I've grown so quickly and the growth has been so rapid. So my question was, how do I scale such a fast growing business without losing the heart of what made it so special in the first place? Because obviously, as I touched on before, we're very intentional about building confidence, building spaces and positive mental health. And now I don't have visibility on every single bit of my business. I think the real question maybe underneath it is, how do I continue growing so ambitiously while still protecting the humanity of what I've built?
Yeah. Yeah. This is a big one.
Yes.
And if we look at what makes this important, my guess is it's really about your initial mission, right? Making sure that every location you have, every studio you have still aligns 100% with your initial mission. Is that the right guess?
For sure. Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. And so where exactly is your question around that? Because you seem to be very clear on who you need to hire, the mindset that they need to have, the confidence they need to have. You're very clear on why you created your school, following a different model than the usual model in the industry.
Mm-hmm.
Where exactly is your stumbling block here?
I think my block would be is I can't have 100% visibility on everything that's going on all of the time. And especially, in the next 6 to 12 months, I'm going to get even less visibility. So I guess it's kind of a question for me to gain a little bit of peace. And yeah, I think, sorry, I'm trying to put my thoughts into words. I think it's trying to understand how I can still be in control as well as do my job, I guess, because I can't be there physically. I can't oversee everything. I'm trusting people to deliver, and that might not happen 100% of the time. So I guess it's kind of having as much as a hold on that as I can, to protect the authenticity of my business and protect the heart of it.
The authenticity and the heart are the non-negotiables. Like
For
if
sure.
that is not there, that's it. It's not
Sure.
working.
For
And
sure.
a struggle around trust, lack of control, because obviously you can't be 60 Zoes in 60 dance studios at the same time. It's impossible.
As much as I
So
would like
you
that.
have to let go, right? You have to trust people, delegate to those people, and hope that they run it in the best possible way.
Yeah.
There are many avenues we could go down here. What feels most important to you when you look at that picture?
I think what feels most important to me is feeling that I can trust and that I can wake up in the morning with trust in everyone. And I do trust the people that I employ 100%, but things happen and things aren't always intentional. If something goes wrong, it's not always something that you can predict. So I think it's just waking up in the morning with that trust and peace for me and learning to let go a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And you mentioned in the very beginning of our conversation how you look up to certain people, to certain entrepreneurs and how they scale. Now, when you mentioned the fast scaling, I'm thinking of brands, they're not necessarily, the most aspirational ones, but if you think of Starbucks, for example, they have a very unified experience and you can go into their shops in any country of the world and you probably will have a very similar experience. What are some of the brands that you could learn from and look at, okay, how do I replicate this with my dance studios?
It's a difficult question because in my industry, there's not really anything to look at and compare to. So it's kind of looking at a complete, as you said, something like Starbucks, that's completely non-relational to my industry. But it's hard to convert that to mine, I guess. But
So I'll give you an example. In design thinking, which is a method for innovation, you had a hospital trying to improve how they do the A&E, the emergency department, and they looked at Formula One. And in Formula One, the car races and then it comes into the pit stop and you have a lot of people, I don't know how many, 8 or 10, who check various things. And it's the same process. Then in an emergency room, it's the same. When you're being wheeled in, you'll have a lot of specialists who will all check something. And hopefully they stabilize you and they save your life. For Formula One, they stabilize the car and the car can go on another lap. That's called analogous inspiration. So can you take some of that and look at, okay, where could you get a similar analogous inspiration? Two things on paper, you look at them, they're like, yeah, Formula One, hospital, what can I learn from that? But actually you can. So may I challenge you gently to see where could you learn something outside of your industry that could be applicable and replicable?
It's a really difficult one. I'm trying to think of somewhere that kind of delivers a service with heart and meaning. God, you put me on the spot. I don't know.
You can sit with it longer, but what I hear you repeat again and again is the heart and the meaning.
Yeah, the only thing I can think of is a hospital. That's the only thing I can think of, really, because that's kind of got a mix of like a system and a bit of heart and care. That's the closest thing really I can think of. Yeah, it's hard.
So it seems that both is important for your school as well, to have a system and to have the heart and care.
For sure.
If you look at both and your scaling dilemma, where do you feel is the biggest risk right now?
The biggest risk is in the heart and care.
Okay. The system is fine?
The system is great. I feel like the system is finely tuned. But in terms of the heart and care, no one will ever care as much as me. And I find it difficult to trust. As I said, I think it's all about trust for me and letting go. And I think the more I try and micromanage and control, the worse it gets as well. So I'm kind of like, nothing works. But yeah, the heart and care is.
So how could you see yourself really infusing this heart and care in the people you're trusting?
I think it maybe might be a deeper hiring process. I think that, I think we have a really good hiring process at the moment and the team is amazing. But I think maybe training days and a deeper level of care for the staff so they can kind of replicate what I would want to replicate, but in their own way that's natural and organic. So I think training would be an interesting one, but I didn't get to that before because when you think of training, you think of theatre and they don't need that. But I think actually to replicate the heart and the soul, I think training days would be really good to understand how each member of staff portrays that. And as I said, gives their own version that's organic and true.
You talked about trust. And when you talk about everyone doing it in their own way, their own version that feels organic and true, it already shows a lot of trust because you're not expecting people to do it your way. It's not my way or the highway. It's actually, there needs to be heart and care, but everyone is allowed to do it in their own expression.
Yeah, for sure. And I think for a while I was trying to make people do it my way and create other versions of me, but it's, as I said, it's not organic enough. It's not, it comes across wrong. So I think I learned early on that, someone has to do it in their own way. It has to, because people can see right through it. So that's interesting. I never thought of the training days before for that. I've never thought of the training in terms of like heart-led training or, my training has always been musical theatre led or, the content of the lesson. It's never been about the person and how they're delivering and their language. There's a little bit of that, but there's not enough. So I find that really interesting.
What would you need for it to feel really implementable, feasible, actionable?
Yeah, I think I would probably need probably just a bit of an in-depth understanding of what that training would look like and how often it would come around. Yeah, I think that's something I probably have to think about often, but I'd probably love your advice on how you would approach something like that with such a different array of people. The people that work for me, we're not similar at all. We model the same values and obviously we're all trained in the same artistry, but we're very different people. So I find maybe it could potentially be challenging to do like a group training because everyone is so unique. So I guess that would be a question as how to approach that with such a vast level of person.
And as you share about the uniqueness and you highlighted how important this authenticity is, that they don't just parrot the Zoë way because people feel it immediately that it's kind of fake because it's not you.
Yeah.
I started thinking about all the students you have.
Yeah.
You mentioned 700. Your goal was expansion towards 1,200.
Yeah.
So they will also be very, very different.
Yeah,
right?
for
And so
sure.
that richness you have with the teachers, the instructors, is a gift to your student population as well, because some of them will connect with one person and maybe not with the other one.
Yeah, for sure. That's really interesting. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Yeah.
And so you mentioned this slight question around, do I work with a group or do I work one-on-one, or what would be your other alternatives in your thinking?
Yeah, I mean, ideally, I'd like to do group training. I think that would be really great. But I think because, yeah, I mean, I guess everyone's different. But I think it would be good to kind of share. And my teachers don't really connect a lot either. They don't really talk. They're very much, some of them are from different areas or they're all on different projects. So we don't really have that kind of team morale. So I think that maybe doing a group training day would help boost that too,
Yeah.
and have everyone connect and yeah.
Yeah, I like that idea, because this way you're creating a common understanding, a common language amongst everyone, and you're connecting everyone. I can also see the richness that would come from all the different perspectives, and it may enrich you as well in your understanding of where you want to go next.
Definitely. I'm such a sponge. I love learning, and I feel like I don't get enough opportunities to learn because it can be really lonely. You know, I've only been at this for like a year and a half full time. It can be really lonely in these early stages by yourself, coming up with stuff. You don't have anyone to really bounce off of. So I think doing a team day like that would be really, really good for me too, because I can learn off people that are in my business and see different angles of it in different areas. I think that would be really good for me personally too. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I don't know why I didn't think of that before.
Yeah. You have a lot of energy around that.
Yeah, I do. Yeah. No, I didn't think before.
What else would be missing to make this come to life?
I don't feel like there's anything missing now.
Good.
Yeah, that feels good. It feels right in my gut. Yeah, it's going to be a really positive step for me, and it's going to help me feel a little bit of peace. And yeah, it will help me grow and move forward. And that's almost like a system, right? In the training day, it kind of goes and moves into a system.
Becomes part of your system, absolutely.
Yeah, so that's really positive. I'm really looking forward to that. Thank you.
You're welcome. So what's your next step?
My next step is to get everyone together. So I'll probably put it into action today, and get everyone to meet first of all. And then maybe that can go into the training day. So maybe take everyone out for a little bit of lunch or a walk, or just get everyone acquainted first before throwing them into something like that.
Yes.
And yeah, it's really positive. I didn't realize until this call really how separate we all are. So yeah, it'd be really good to kind of get that group morale.
Yeah, because what you're doing is, yes, you're building a business, and at the same time, you're disrupting your industry. So it's a little bit of a, business with a movement type quality.
Yeah.
With a slightly rebellious streak to it.
Yeah. That's what my role when I started, disrupt the industry. I love
you see? And if I picture myself as an employee of yours, and if I picture two options, one is I'm just an independent dancer and I'm employed by a dancing school. Well, fine. You go, you do the hours, you do as you're told. If I'm a dancer and I'm employed by a dancing school that is working towards disrupting the industry and it's aligned with my values, then I go above and beyond. I feel much more ownership. I will show up completely differently.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah, it's much more engaging for the staff member, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. I'm excited.
What's ahead for you? You mentioned the scaling. You mentioned, so if you look, 3 years from now, where would you like to be? Where do you see yourself?
I see growth in the areas that we are at the moment. So we have a lot of school contracts. So I feel that's just on the expansion. And then I would like a really large central hub in the city. So in London, I'd like a really big hub that's not just for classes, but also maybe for therapy sessions, or it would be like a multi-use hub that we run. I'm not sure exactly what's in it yet, but that's where I'm looking for. I'm looking for a big, where people travel to, and maybe even to open up like an academic and vocational school. That interests me too. But yeah, to make a really large hub and to get a lot of traffic to it, and to have a place where people can come multiple times a week for various different services. That really excites me. So I think, potentially collaborating with other people over the next couple of years to make that happen is where I'm looking at the moment.
Mm. And I can see how for that hub, your vision of, confidence first and dance as the vehicle is really coming to life as well, because you bring in other modalities into the fold.
For sure. Yeah. And that can only do good. So I think in a couple of years, seeing what I've got on paper that happens, I think that's more than achievable. So yeah, it's kind of just that, maybe networking a little bit more, meeting some other people that share my same goals or similar, other children's practitioners. And I think, just become, strength in numbers. But that's what I'm looking at in the next few years.
And again, going back to the conversation we've had and the action around your staff training, that strength in numbers is also something that you can systematize, right?
Yeah.
It's something where you can start laying the foundation today already, and your staff becomes part of that story.
For sure. And that starts now. So yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
Zoe, you definitely are courageous, ambitious, going for it, disrupting, rebellious. I love all of that about you. I wonder if you were to share anything with leaders facing a tough decision, a tough choice right now, what would you want them to take away?
I think I would want them to take away, don't wait until you have every detail figured out before you begin. I started at 24, which is really young. I'm aware still how young I am, but I think sometimes people overestimate the importance of having the perfect plan and underestimate their ability and their capability to adapt and to learn along the way. If you're intelligent and you're self-aware and you're willing to keep learning and you're really hungry, I think you'll make decisions, the right decisions, and figure things out as you go. And mistakes are amazing. Some of my mistakes have put me on the right road to things that I could have never imagined. So don't be afraid to make a mistake and have that unwavering self-belief, because most of the most meaningful things that I've built came from trusting myself before I had any certainty. So if something keeps pulling at you emotionally and it's like, do it, pay attention to that, because there's usually a reason for it.
Wow. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's fantastic. Where can people find you?
Instagram where we're most active.
Thank you so much, Zoe, for today.
Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
I hope you enjoyed listening to today's Unconventional Leader. Subscribe to the podcast for more episodes like this. And if you too are someone who does things differently, join me on Substack for more leadership insights. The link is in the description below.